Love powers our emotions, but energy powers the 3D world. That's why I use the song "Love Makes the World Go Round" to start this podcast, which authors, writers, as well as most people should enjoy. So let's continue. Here's a working definition of emotions. They are physical and mental states brought on by neurophysiological changes, variously associated with thoughts, feelings, behavioral responses, and a degree of pleasure or displeasure. There are many types of emotions, and psychologists agree that love, anger, and fear are perhaps the strongest. That's why novelists often show how events in their protagonists' lives trigger these emotions, forcing the protagonist and the main characters to deal with the repercussions. Those repercussions are the novel's plot. Recent neuroscientific studies using human MRI, that's magnetic resonance imaging, brain scans, show that there are distinct regions of the brain that light up when giving and receiving different types of love, such as parental and family love, passionate or erotic love, self-love, enduring love, platonic or friendship love, playful love, and universal or empathetic love. When more than one region lights up simultaneously, people feel multiple emotions. As people go through life, developing more interneural connections, their emotional brain regions in the brain become more and more distinct. You might enjoy reading the book, published in 1992 by pastor and marriage counselor Glenn Chapman, The 5 Love Languages, describing the 5 ways or modes he's most often observed couples using when expressing their love for one another. Acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, and physical touch. Well, let's turn next to a summary of energy. According to scientists, namely physicists, energy is defined as the ability to do work, which is the ability to exert a force causing displacement of an object. This definition simply means energy is just the force that causes things to move. Energy is divided into 2 types, potential and kinetic. Potential energy is stored in force fields, like the gravitational and electric fields, or in the electrochemical fields found in chemistry, for example, in fossil fuels. Kinetic energy is stored in the relative motion of objects, which at the fundamental level means in the relative motion of molecules and atoms. All the energy we find on Earth either came long ago from the sun or comes right now from its solar radiation bombarding the Earth. For example, fossil fuels hold energy that plants captured via photosynthesis millions upon millions of years ago. And uranium holds energy stored in the nuclear forces binding both atoms and subatomic particles together. Nuclear fission occurs when uranium atoms split apart, and thermonuclear fusion, which is the source of our sun's energy, occurs when hydrogen atoms fuse together to form helium. Sustained thermonuclear fusion reactors have been a wish ever since man triggered the first thermonuclear bomb nearly 70 years ago. The trite joke that remains is this: fusion is only 30 years away. and always will be. And why is sustaining fusion so hard? Well, containing a plasma whose temperature is 150 million degrees and whose equations are complex beyond the reach of supercomputers are blocking the way. But scientists don't give up. ITER, that's an acronym for International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, and it's located in Europe. And there's also the Joint European Torus reactor in England. And the NIF, the National Ignition Facility in the U.S., keep picking away and claim that they will soon achieve a Q equals 1 within 5 years. Q equals 1 means energy out equals energy in. And these research centers use a toroidal ring generating a gigantic magnetic field that contains the plasma. The other technique for plasma containment is a pulse of laser blasts. Another recent article reported that MIT has just confirmed its breakthrough for generating megamagnetic fields at lower energy input, implying that it'll help their tokamak projects. Maybe so. But if we do achieve controlled thermonuclear fusion, we will have an unlimited source of energy by extracting deuterium and tritium from the ocean. This will then be used via electrolysis to give us an infinite amount of hydrogen gas. And you can find many articles promoting hydrogen-powered cars as a solution to transportation's air pollution problem. And it's a great idea because burning hydrogen gives you only water. I'm sure you've heard about solar panels for generating electricity from sunlight or wind turbines for doing so from wind. There are also ocean turbines that generate electricity from ocean waves and currents. A spin-off company from General Electric called Vernova focuses on renewable and green energy. It recently released its Sustainable Energy Report, which discusses what energy technologies it is commercializing. One of the most exciting is the heat pump, which extracts thermal energy from the oceans. Please read it for more details. And a book, Energy for Future Presidents, gives even more information. Richard Muller published it in 2012. Here's my simple scholar takeaway from it. It is vitally important that the United States have safe and secure supplies of energy. Our government's energy policy is complex because it must balance economic, environmental, technological, and political demands. As the book's title proclaims, every current or future president of the United States needs to read the book. The author is an environmentally concerned physics professor who knows and has researched the subject thoroughly. Here are the major takeaways. Energy disaster reporting is always exaggerated and sensational. Yes, Fukushima and the Gulf oil spills were disasters, but are not as catastrophic as the public is often led to believe. Global warming may be a reality, but the data is not conclusive, and it's better to call it climate change rather than simply global warming. Man's contribution is perhaps half the cause, and the developing world, China, India, etc., are the main contributors. And it may be presumptuous to think that man can control climate change. This is an emotion-charged subject in which people ignore the facts. U.S. shale gas and oil have revitalized our domestic oil and gas industry. This should continue into the foreseeable future. The only energy type for which there has ever been a shortage is gasoline. OPEC made that clear via the past oil embargoes. Nuclear power can be made safely and cheaply. Alternate energy sources, solar, wind, biomass, and so on and so forth, will never be able to supply a large percentage of our energy needs. They will remain too expensive and impossible to scale up. Natural gas usage should increase because it is low cost and has low carbon dioxide content in its waste products. The current furor about greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide emissions offer very little in the way of realistic solutions. The topic is still too emotion charged. Now, here are the major cautions future presidents must heed. Beware of fads. There's a temptation to endorse the breakthrough of the month when in fact there is little other than hype to support it. Beware of risk-benefit analysis. Much of this analysis is short-sighted, simplistic, and incomplete. Beware of the precautionary principle. This principle states you should always err on the side of safety. Often it is hard to define safety. Beware of optimism and skepticism bias. You must be relentlessly objective, assessing the upside and downside. Beware of aphorisms. Those are soundbite solutions because they won't work on complex issues. And that's a wrap for this podcast. I hope you found something in it you can use, and I thank you for listening.